A Judeo-Christian Guide to Healing from Complex Trauma by Valerie Lynn Stevens. Am I an inferior person because I socialize differently? We live in a society that all too often does not respect and honor those with different social methods and approaches, especially as it relates to forced group activities, such as standing up in front of larger crowds to introduce ourselves, etc. First off, many of us merely have a personality that is more reserved with those that we do not yet know, not to mention a personality and character which values deeper, more meaningful interactions with others, and who believes in the wisdom of slowly getting to know people over a more naturalistic period of time. On top of that, I am a survivor of systematic emotional abuse as a child and teen who needs to assess a situation and the people before I feel ready to engage with it and with them. I have a condition called complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which adds to my need for approaching social interaction in my own way. Too often, others add to my social trauma by treating me as an inferior whenever I freeze up and or leave a room in the midst of a CPTSD flashback episode when I am called to stand up in front of everyone and speak. They assume that I am, quote, timid, shy, or socially inadequate in some way. I can tell by the smug looks and condescending smirks on some people's faces that they are failing to understand the depth and complexity of the condition that I am actually grappling with. It is not merely your usual fear of public speaking or social anxiety. It runs much deeper than that, and it stems from being systematically and severely psychologically and emotionally abused and inappropriately controlled from a young age. Furthermore, there have been a few occasions where I did not experience the flight response in a situation where I had to speak in front of a group of people. It depends on the size of the gathering, the atmosphere, whether or not the room in which it is being held is associated with the prior abuse and or trauma, and whether or not there are other people present who have inflicted abuse or trauma upon me in the past that are present at said social gathering. If they are, I will not feel psychologically and emotionally safe to engage with people unless it is on a one-on-one basis, such as at our own table. This is a feature of my condition which causes me so much shame and feelings of inferiority. Yet it is due not to how I feel about myself, but rather how others have reacted to me, which has affected my self-image. I am at peace with myself and know who I am. But I am also human and have an intrinsic need to feel a sense of belonging, trust, and genuine respect from others as well. I have had to accept the fact that I will probably always have that reaction at larger social gatherings where I do not feel 100% comfortable and or safe. And that does not mean that I am inferior or incompetent, but merely that I am a survivor of horrors that most people have never had to go through. In finale, trauma changes us, whether we like it or not. Trauma changes us, whether other people understand it or not. But I refuse to stop treating myself with the compassion and kindness which I am too often denied by the current social milieu in which I must reside. My suggestion to those facilitating larger and even smaller social gatherings, where the individuals do not know one another, and even where they do, is to respect everyone's preference to either stand up in front of everyone and speak about themselves impromptu, or to do it more naturalistically later on on one-on-one individualist settings. In other words, give people the option and do not shame them into doing something in a way they do not feel comfortable with. Because the truth of the matter is that people only truly get to know one another over a longer period of discrete and more substantive interactions anyway. I think that some people just realize this more and wish to reserve our energies for building more authentic connections with those people who cross our paths. I also think that some of us also possess a keener knowledge and awareness of ourselves and a stronger sense of personal dignity due to all that we have worked so hard to overcome, and refuse to judge ourselves by the shallow assumptions and standards which certain other people may hold of us and expect us to adhere to. I am myself and will not feel anything but proud of all that I have overcome in life, even when I fail myself by not being able to conform to Western society's way of doing things. Every human being has a right to feel safe and respected and appreciated on both a collective and an individualistic basis. And if I sense that others do not respect me as an individual, I will find it very difficult, without feeling like I am betraying my own sense of personal dignity and self respect, to conform to whatever it is they are asking of me. Reciprocity for me is a non negotiable. I am also a highly independent personality and will resent it if I feel that someone else is attempting to interfere with my personal autonomy. Also, I will become very exhausted and disheartened when I feel that I am being expected to conform to values which I myself do not hold or agree with. This will also make me feel that I am not being respected as an individual, and therefore my trust in that person will be damaged. INTJ personalities are often treated as outsiders due to our non compromising personal integrity. It's not so much that I am trying to be different or that I am just a rebelling nonconformist. I am just an unusually individuated person, mainly due to the ostracism all throughout my life that I have had to face. That's just Newtonian metaphysics, an equal and opposite reaction of extreme autonomy and individuation in the face of the oppression and programming which I suffered at the hands of my abusive family system. I had no choice but to become exceptionally self directed and developed in order to both survive this system as well as have the impetus to thrive and self actualize after I had escaped it. My only expectation of others really is that they try to get to know me on a deeper level. I am an open book. I have nothing to hide and am not ashamed of who I am and where I come from. Just give me the benefit of the doubt and treat me with the dignity and respect that I treat you with. It's quite simple, really. Yet, I am also tough minded enough to realize that it's not that simple for everyone. Therefore, I have taught myself to let go of those who are not capable of this and only let in those who are. I can still function within a community and be relatively free to actualize myself despite some of the pathologically oriented personalities that I will have to encounter. And this lesson makes all that I have suffered at the hands of these types of people worth it, because I truly have always lived by the consolation that as long as we are growing and learning, we have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of.